The mug is a joke. A cruel, expensive joke. I'm holding it under the kitchen lights. Bone white, heavy ceramic. The kind Victoria likes because it makes her feel like she's living in a magazine spread. Engraved in gold script that's already starting to feel tacky. World's most supportive husband. Supportive. Right. I look up. Victoria's by the window, backlit by the Manhattan skyline, swirling a tumbler Macallan 25 like she's in a commercial for herself. She hasn't looked at me since she walked in, just scrolling through her phone. That tiny, self-satisfied curve at the corner of her mouth that usually means a kill shot on a merger or a particularly brutal boardroom maneuver. You saw the press release? She asks. Not a question, a notification. I saw it, I say. My voice is steady. Too steady. $2 million. A retention bonus for Daniel. For pivotal contributions to the company's growth. She finally glances over her shoulder. Her eyes glacial blue. The color of a stock ticker on a bad day. Scan me like I'm a line item she's thinking about cutting. Daniel stepped up when we needed him. The Zurich deal was bleeding out. He stabilized the European division. He stabilized it because he ran it into the ground first. I reply, and let's be honest, Vic, you didn't give him $2 million because of Zurich. You gave it to him because he's your ex, and you still get that little flutter in your chest when he calls you Vicky. Her smirk vanishes. She sets the glass down on the marble countertop with a sharp click. Watch your tone. Ethan, Daniel's been with Sterling since the beginning. He understands a vision. You're the guy who tinkers in the garage and calls it RD. There's no garage, I say quietly. There's a server room. And I don't tinker. I wrote the base code for Synapse OS. I designed the architecture for the neural interface. I hold the original patents. You just slap the Sterling logo on top. She laughs. Brittle. Ugly. The kind of laugh that's meant to make everyone in the room feel small. Don't be pedantic. We paid the legal fees. We filed them under the company umbrella. You signed the IP agreement when we got married. Or have you forgotten? I signed over the application rights. I correct her, standing up. I'm taller than her. It forces her to tilt her chin up, and she hates that. I retain the ownership of the underlying algorithms. Check the fine print. Victoria, you were too busy celebrating the series be funding to notice that the man you were marrying was the only one who actually understood the tech. She waves a dismissive hand, already turning back to window. Semantics. Without my capital, without my network, your algorithms are just lines of code rotting on a hard drive. Daniel knows how to run a business. You know how to make coffee in that ridiculous mug. She pauses, just long enough to twist the knife. Enjoy the mug. Ethan, it suits you. The room goes quiet. Not the good kind of quiet. The kind that comes right before a structural collapse. I don't yell. I don't throw the mug. Not yet. I just walk to my home office, close the door, and open my laptop. The silence in here is different. Focused. Mine. I pull up the USPTO database. There they are. Patent no. 11,428,562. Adaptive Neural Lattice Architecture. Assignee, Ethan Cole. Licenser, Sterling Tech Holdings. The contract is tighter than a drum. I license it to Sterling for 5 years, with a termination clause buried in Section 8. Be licenser reserves the right to terminate this agreement with immediate effect upon the occurrence of any action by a licensee deemed detrimental to the moral, ethical, or financial standing of the licenser. Giving my wife's ex-boyfriend a $2 million bonus based on performance metrics he fabricated to cover his own screw-ups? Yeah, that qualifies. I start drafting the email. Short, cold, professional. Subject, termination of licensing agreement. Patent no. 11,428,562. Body, Victoria. Pursuant to Section 8B of the licensing agreement dated June 14th, I am formally notifying you of the immediate termination of all patent licenses granted to Sterling Tech Holdings, effective immediately. Any continued use of the aforementioned intellectual property constitutes direct infringement. My counsel will be in touch at 9 a.m. to discuss the cessation of operations. P.S. The mug was a nice touch. Keep it. I prefer my coffee black. Anyway, Ethan, I hover over the send button for half a second. Not because I'm hesitating. Because I want to savor the moment. Then I click. I lean back in my chair and listen. At first, nothing. Then, from the other side of the penthouse, the distinct sound of a phone vibrating against glass. Then another. Then the sharp clink of a tumbler hitting marble, followed by the sound of liquid splashing. Then her voice low, controlled panic. Ethan? Ethan, what the hell did you just send me? I don't answer. I just close the laptop, stand up, and walk back into the living room. She's staring at her phone like it's a bomb. Daniel's name is lighting up her screen. Again and again, she looks up at me, the icy blue in her eyes starting to crack. What have you done? I took out the trash, I say, and I'm reclaiming my property. I walk over to the counter, pick up the mug, and set it down gently in front of her. You keep this. I won't need it where I'm going. I head for the elevator. Behind me, I hear her voice, sharper now, climbing toward hysteria. Ethan, get back here. We can talk about this. We can adjust your compensation. Just don't do anything rash. I hit the button for the garage. The door slides shut, cutting off her voice. The last thing I see is her reflection in the polished metal. Standing alone in a penthouse that suddenly looks a lot less like a palace and a lot more like a cage. The elevator starts to descend. I pull out my phone and open the monitoring app for the Sterling Tech servers. The little green that indicates the Synapse OS is running, it's still lit, but I know exactly where the kill switch is. And I know exactly when I'm going to flip it. Let the collapse begin. The garage, though it's really a climate-controlled, Tier 4 data suite buried 3 levels below street level. Smells like ozone and cold steel. I'm not alone. Marcus, my system's architect, is already here, hunched over a secondary terminal. He doesn't look up when I walk in. She's blowing up the phones, he says. His voice is a low rumble. The kind of guy who communicates in facts and caffeine levels. Legal, par, the board. Daniel's been calling every 5 minutes. Sounds like he's already lawyering up. Smart, I say, pulling up a chair. He should be. He's the one who signed off on the fraudulent performance reports to justify that bonus. Marcus finally glances over. You sure about this? Pulling the license mid-cycle? That's not just burning a bridge. That's nuking the foundation. I'm sure, I say. She made it personal. She handed me a coffee mug and called me supportive while she was signing a $2 million check to the guy who nearly sank the company. She forgot who owns the IP. Now she gets to remember. I start typing. Commands scroll across the screen. A cascade of logic and precision. Marcus watches for a second, then nods and turns back to his own station. Initiating pre-termination diagnostics. Synapse is running hot. If we pull the license, the whole stack collapses. We're talking total data loss for anyone not on a cold backup. Good, I say. Let them learn what total data loss feels like when you don't own the patents. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Probably a board member. I ignore it. Another buzz. Then a call. I decline it. Then another. Finally, I answer on the 4th ring, putting it on speaker. Ethan. Victoria's voice is raw, stripped of its usual polish. What the hell is going on? Legal just told me you terminated the licensing agreement. Do you have any idea what you're doing? You're destroying the company. I'm protecting my assets, I say calmly. Your press release this afternoon constituted a material breach of our agreement. Misuse of company funds to compensate a related party based on falsified metrics? That's detrimental to my financial standing. Vic, plain and simple. That's bullshit and you know it. Daniel earned that bonus. And even if he didn't, you can't just shut us down. We'll sue you into oblivion. You can try, I say, but I'd advise you to read the DMCA again. I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm revoking access to my property. There's a difference. And I've already notified the SEC about the irregularities in your European division's reporting. They'll be contacting you soon. Silence on the line, then a sharp intake of breath. You reported us? To the SEC? to the FTC. 2. False advertising on the Synapse capabilities. Turns out Daniel's stabilization involved cooking the books. I have the logs. All of them. You're a monster, she whispers. No, I say. I'm the guy who built the engine. You're the one who forgot to check who owned the keys. Enjoy the mug. Victoria. It's all yours now. I hang up. Marcus doesn't say a word. He just keeps typing. Outside, through the reinforced glass, I can see the faint glow of the city. Somewhere up there, Victoria is realizing that her empire isn't made of stone. It's made of code, and the man who writes the code, he decides when the lights go out. I look at the clock. 8:45 p.m. 15 minutes until the automated purge sequence initiates unless I input the override. I watch the seconds tick by. 8:50. 8:55. Victoria's calls are coming in every 30 seconds now. Begging, screaming, promising the world. At 8:59, I pick up the phone. I don't answer. I just let it ring. At 9 o'clock exactly, I tap a single key. Execute. On the monitor, the green dot blinks once, twice, then turns red. Synapse OS offline, Marcus reports. All dependent systems initiating fail-safe protocols. Sterling's internal network is dark. I lean back in my chair. The penthouse is silent now. No more calls. Just the hum of the servers around me. The ones that still belong to me. Let's get some coffee, I say. Black. No mugs required. Marcus finally cracks a smile. You got it, boss. I watch the red dot on the screen. It's not just a system failure. It's a message. One I've been waiting a long time to send. You can't put a price on ownership, but apparently, you can put a $2 million price on forgetting who the owner is. And that's a mistake that just costs her everything. The next few hours are a blur of monitored chaos. I'm not sleeping. I'm watching. By 2 a.m., the first reports hit Bloomberg. Sterling Tech experiences catastrophic system failure. Trading halted. By 3 a.m., CNBC is running a breaking segment. CEO Victoria Sterling under investigation for securities fraud. By 4 a.m., Daniel's lawyer has issued a statement distancing him from any and all operational decisions at Sterling. Coward. I'm still in the data suite. When the sun starts to come up, Marcus hands me a fresh coffee, black, in a disposable cup. I take a sip. It's perfect. My phone buzzes one last time. A text from Victoria. Just 3 words. I'm sorry. Ethan. I delete it. No response needed. The red dot on the monitor says everything that needs to be said. I stand up, stretch, and head for the elevator. Time to go home. Or rather, time to go to a place that actually feels like home. Not a penthouse built on borrowed tech, but a life built on my own terms. As the elevator doors close, I catch my reflection in the polished metal. I don't look like a man who just destroyed a billion-dollar company. I look like a man who just woke up, and I'm done playing supportive. The ride up to the penthouse is quiet. I don't expect her to be there, but part of me wants to see her face one last time. When the doors open, the place is empty. The mug is still on the counter, exactly where I left it. The Macallan bottle is on its side. A puddle of amber liquid drying on the marble. Her laptop is gone. Her clothes are gone. The only thing left is the faint scent of her perfume and the weight of a silence that feels a lot like victory. I walk over to the window. The city is waking up. People are rushing to jobs that still exist, unaware that one of the biggest names in tech just vanished overnight. I wonder how many of them will connect the dots. How many will realize that the genius of Sterling Tech was never in the corner office, but in the lines of code written by the man they all dismissed as supportive. I pick up the mug. For a second, I consider keeping it, a souvenir, but then I think better of it. Some things aren't worth carrying. I open the cabinet, drop it in, and close the door. Then I turn and walk out. No looking back. No second thoughts. Just the click of my shoes on the marble floor, the soft chime of the elevator, and the quiet certainty that the next chapter isn't about revenge. It's about building something they can't steal. Something mine. I spend the morning at a diner in Hell's Kitchen. Cheap coffee, scrambled eggs, The kind of place where nobody cares if you're a tech mogul or a guy who just walked away from a marriage and a company in the same night. The TV above the counter is tuned to CNN. They're running a segment on Sterling's collapse. They're calling it a mystery meltdown. They haven't mentioned my name yet. Good. My burner phone rings. A known number. I answer. Mr. Cole? The voice is smooth, polished, familiar. Speaking. This is Julian Vance. Vance Dynamics. I think we need to talk. I take a sip of my coffee. Black. Perfect. I'm listening, I say. And just like that, the game changes. The rest of the day is a series of meetings in nondescript hotel suites and quiet corners of high-end bars. Julian Vance isn't the only one who's called. There's interest from Palantir, from Anduril, even a quiet inquiry from a sovereign wealth fund in Abu Dhabi. They all want the same thing, the patents, the tech, the mind behind the code that just took down a giant. I don't commit to anything. Not yet. I listen. I ask questions. I watch their eyes when I mention autonomy, creative control, and the fact that I don't sign NDAs. I write them. By evening, I'm back in the data suite. Marcus is still there, fueled by caffeine and a quiet sense of vindication. Offers? He asks without looking up. Several, I say, none worth taking. Yet, he nods. They'll come around. Once they realize you're not selling the patents, you're selling the future. Exactly, I say. I pull up the Prometheus codebase, the new project, the one that makes Synapse look like a child's toy. We start integration tomorrow. Full stealth mode. No leaks. No paper trails. Understood, Marcus says. He finally looks up, a rare smile on his face. Feels good, doesn't it? Being the one holding the cards for a change. I look at the red dot on the monitor, then at the green dots of the Prometheus servers, humming quietly in their racks. It feels like Tuesday, I say, but I'm smiling. 2. The phone on the desk rings. The secure line. I pick it up. Mr. Cole? It's the New York Times. We'd like to request a comment on the situation at Sterling Tech. I hang up. Some stories aren't for the papers. Some stories are for the history books. And this one, it's just getting started. I turn back to the code. The world can wait. I've got work to do. And this time, nobody's telling me to stay in the garage. The next week is a masterclass in controlled demolition. Sterling Tech files for Chapter 11. Victoria resigns as CEO, citing personal reasons, a phrase that fools nobody. Daniel disappears from public view, rumored to be negotiating a plea deal with federal prosecutors. The board scatters like roaches when the lights come on. I stay in the shadows. No interviews. No social media posts. Just the occasional cryptic update to the Prometheus repository, visible only to those who know where to look. The tech world is buzzing with speculation. Who brought down Sterling? Was an inside job? A cyber attack? Nobody connects the dots to the supportive husband, except one person. Late one night, as I'm reviewing latency benchmarks, an encrypted email hits my private server. No subject line, just a single line of text. You always were the smartest person in the room. I just hated that it wasn't me. V. I stare at it for a long moment. Then I delete it, not because it hurts, because it doesn't matter. Her hatred, her regret, her realization, none of it changes the facts. The facts are written in the code, in the patents, in the red that used to be her empire. I close the laptop and stand up. Marcus is already gone for the night. The suite is quiet. I walk over to the server rack and place my hand on the cool metal. This is where the real power lives, not in corner offices or bonus checks. Here, in the hum of the processors, the flow of the data, the logic of the design. I built this. I own this. And nobody, not Victoria, not Daniel, not the entire board of Sterling Tech, can take it away from me. I head for the elevator, my footsteps echoing in the silence. As the doors close, I catch my reflection again. Same face, same eyes, but something's different. The weight is gone, the hesitation, the need to be supportive. I'm not a supporting character anymore. I'm the lead, and the curtain's just gone up. The following morning, I meet Julian Vance at a private club on Park Avenue. He's exactly as I expected, tailored suit, expensive watch, the kind of handshake that's more evaluation than greeting. We've done our due diligence, he says, sliding a thick folder across the table. $3 billion. Up front. Liquid. Complete autonomy over RD. No board interference. Your patents become the cornerstone of Vance Dynamics' new AI division. I open the folder. The numbers are impressive. The terms are fair. But it's not enough. I'm not selling the patents. Julian, I say, closing the folder. I'm licensing them. Exclusively. On my terms. And only if you agree to open source the peripheral frameworks. Innovation shouldn't be a chokehold. It should be a foundation. He leans back, studying me. You're not what I expected. Mr. Cole. Good, I say. Expectations are where progress goes to die. He smiles. A real one this time. Agreed. We have a deal. We shake on it. No lawyers. No fanfare. Just two men who understand that the future isn't bought. It's built. As I leave the club, the sun is shining. People are hurrying past, chasing their own versions of success. I don't hurry. I walk. For the first time in a long time. I'm not walking towards something someone else built. I'm walking towards something I built myself. My phone buzzes. A news alert. Victoria Sterling indicted on multiple federal charges. I don't read the article. I don't need to. The headline says enough. I delete the alert and slip the phone back into my pocket. Then I keep walking. Past the skyscrapers. Past the noise. Toward the quiet. Certain knowledge that the best revenge isn't a $2 million bonus or a viral headline. It's a life where you don't need either. It's a life where the only mug you own is the one you choose. And right now, I'm choosing freedom. 7:02 a.m. Sterling Tech Headquarters. 42nd floor. I don't bother with the lobby. I take the private elevator. Key card swiped. Security protocols overridden. They haven't changed the access codes yet. Stupid. Arrogant. Very Victoria. The bullpen is already a pressure cooker. Phones ringing off the hook. Traders screaming at terminals. The NASDAQ halt on Stetch has triggered a full-scale liquidity crisis. I walk through the chaos like it's background noise. Because it is. Victoria's office door is closed. Her assistant, Melissa, 26, Harvard Business School, terrified of her own shadow, tries to block my path. Mr. Cole, Ms. Sterling is in an emergency board meeting, she said. She said a lot of things. I interrupt, not breaking stride. None of them mattered yesterday. None of them matter now. I push the door open. The conference room smells like fear and expensive cologne. Victoria is at the head of the table. Back straight, chin up, but her knuckles are white around a Mont Blanc pen. Daniel is to her right, sweating through his Tom Ford suit. The board is arrayed around the table. 7 men and women who spent the last 5 years pretending they understood the tech while cashing dividend checks. Every head snaps toward me. Ethan, Victoria says. Her voice is ice, but there's a hairline fracture in it. This is a closed session. Not anymore. I say, walking in and taking the empty seat at the foot of the table, the one reserved for special counsel. I'm here to observe the audit and to clarify a few legal ambiguities. Daniel leans forward, jabbing a finger at me. You can't just waltz in here after what you pulled last night. Do you have any idea what you've done to our market cap? Preserved it. I say, meeting his glare. From you. From her. From the fraudulent reporting you signed off on in Zurich. Funny thing about digital footprints. Daniel, they don't wash off. Fraudulent? Sputters Richard Halpern, the board chair. Ethan, that's a serious accusation. We have auditors. You had Daniel. I cut in, who conveniently forgot to disclose the €4. 2 million consulting fee. He routed to a shell company in Malta, the same shell company that owns his villa in Mykonos, the same villa he bought 2 weeks after the Zurich stabilization. The room goes dead silent. Victoria's eyes widen. She whips her head toward Daniel. Is that true? Daniel's face drains of color. Vic, baby. It's complicated. It was for market positioning. The bonus was separate. The bonus was a distraction. I say, pulling a USB drive from my pocket and tossing it onto the table. It skids to a stop in front of Halpern. Everything's on there. Emails, wire transfers, server logs showing Daniel manually tweaking the Synapse performance dashboards to hide the latency issues. He didn't stabilize Zurich. He buried the bodies in the code. And I point at Victoria. You handed him $2 million for it. Halpern picks up the drive, his hand trembling slightly. If this is verified, this is RICO territory. Securities fraud. Conspiracy. We're all liable. Not all of you. I say, just the ones who knew, and the ones who should have known. Victoria finds her voice, sharp and desperate. Ethan, this is insane. You're destroying the company over a slight, over a mug. No, I say, leaning forward, I'm enforcing a contract. You use my intellectual property to facilitate a criminal enterprise. That's not a slight. That's a federal offense. And the second you diverted company funds to Daniel based on falsified data, you triggered the termination clause. I didn't destroy Sterling. You and your ex-boyfriend hollowed it out and hung the Sterling name on the carcass. Daniel stands up so fast his chair scrapes the floor. I'm not sitting here and taking this. I'm calling my lawyer. Good. I say, call him, then call the U.S. Attorney's Office, because I've already sent them a copy of that drive, along with the termination notice and the patent filings. You got about 20 minutes before the FBI walks through that door. Maybe less. He freezes, looks at Victoria, looks at the board. Then, without a word, he bolts for the door. Daniel, Victoria shouts, but he's gone. She looks back at me, and for the first time, I see it. Not anger, not arrogance, fear, pure, undiluted terror. Ethan, she says, her voice dropping to a whisper, please, we can fix this. Buy back the patents. Name a building after you. Anything. Just don't let them tear this apart. I stand up slowly, walk to the head of the table, lean down until I'm eye level with her. This was never yours to tear apart. Victoria, you didn't build it. You branded it. And now it's just another asset in my portfolio. One I'm liquidating. I turn to Halpern. The patents are locked. The Synapse OS is inert. Any attempt to reboot it without my biometric key will trigger a recursive purge, total data loss. Irreversible. You have two options. File for Chapter 7 and let the creditors sort out the wreckage. Or I authorize a 72-hour grace period for an orderly transition of non-infringing assets. After that, the servers go dark permanently. Halpern nods numbly. 72 hours. We'll take it. I look back at Victoria. She's staring at her hands, shaking. One more thing. I say, the mug? It's in the kitchen cabinet. Consider it a severance package. I walk out. The bullpen is louder now. Panic setting in. I don't stop. I don't look back. The elevator doors close on the sound of an empire collapsing. My phone buzzes. Julian Vance. Heard the news. He says, the Stetch ticker is frozen. Es. You move faster than I thought. I told you. I say, I don't bluff. The offer stands. $3 billion. Autonomy. Open source the peripherals. We can announce by Monday. Monday's too late. I say, I want the framework drafted by noon. And Julian? No Sterling Memorial Labs. No plugs. No vanity projects. Just the work. Done. He says, welcome to Vance Dynamics. Ethan, try not to burn this one down. I smile. Wouldn't dream of it. I hang up. The elevator opens to the garage. Marcus is waiting by the car, holding a fresh coffee, black, in a paper cup. How'd it go? He asks. I take the cup, take a sip. Perfect. The audit's complete. I say, time to build something real. We drive off. Behind us, the Sterling Tower looms, already looking smaller, already looking like a relic. The radio kicks on. Breaking news. Sterling Tech CEO Victoria Sterling resigns amidst federal investigation. I turn up the volume, just to hear the silence where her voice used to be. Then I turn it off. The road ahead is clear, and for the first time in a long time, I'm the one driving. The next stop is a nondescript office park in Jersey City. No logos, no Saini, just a reinforced door and a retina scanner. Marcus leads away into a cold room filled with server racks humming at a frequency only dogs should hear. This is Prometheus. I plug the USB drive into the primary node. The screen flares to life. Streams of code cascading like a digital waterfall. Initializing core protocols. Marcus mutters. Synapse is officially offline. All redundant systems purged. No backdoors. No ghost code. Good. I say, start the migration. Phase 1. Decoupling neural lattice from the Sterling API. Phase 2. Recompile under the Advanced Licensing Framework. Phase 3. Erase every trace of Sterling's involvement from the commit history. Erasing history? Marcus raises an eyebrow. That's not very open source of you. Open source the future. I correct. Burn the past. Victoria won a legacy. She gets a footnote. If she's lucky, my phone buzzes again. Unknown number. I answer. Ethan? It's a woman's voice. Shaky. Familiar. Melissa, the assistant. I saw what happened. On the news. And in the conference room. I have something you might need. What is it? Daniel's personal backups. He kept them on an external drive in his desk. I grabbed it before I left. It's got everything. Emails, financial records, even some recordings. I think he was blackmailing Ms. Sterling. Of course he was. Classic Daniel. Where are you? Across the street. In the Starbucks. Please. I don't want to be implicated in this. I just did my job. Send me the drive. I say, then delete this number. If anyone asks, you never saw me. Understand? Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hang up. 5 minutes later. A text arrives with a Dropbox link. I open it on the secure terminal. Folder after folder of incriminating evidence, including a video file timestamped 3 nights ago. Victoria and Daniel in her office, arguing, then not arguing. I close the file. Not relevant. Not anymore. But useful. For leverage. For insurance. Add that to the packet for the U.S. Attorney. I tell Marcus. Anonymistip. Let them connect the dots. He nods. Already transferring files. Cold. Efficient. I correct. There's a difference. I lean back, watching the code fly. Prometheus is alive. Breathing. Growing. It doesn't care about bonuses or boardrooms or who's sleeping with whom. It cares about logic. Structure. Truth. My phone buzzes one last time. A text from Victoria. Just a photo this time. The mug. Sitting on the edge of her desk in what looks like a bare apartment. The caption. Is this what you wanted? I delete it. Then I delete her contact. Then I delete the entire thread. Marcus. I say, compile the final termination report. Send copies to the SEC, the FBI, and every major tech reporter in New York. Include a press release. Ethan Cole announces departure from Sterling Tech, launches independent AI initiative. No mention of Vance? Not yet. Let them chase the ghost. By the time they realize where I am, Prometheus will be untouchable. He smiles. You're enjoying this. I'm correcting a misalignment. I say, value was misattributed. Ownership was obscured. I'm just rebalancing the ledger. I stand up, walk to the server rack, and place my palm against the cool metal. The hum vibrates through my bones. It's not just a machine. It's a statement. One written in ones and zeros. Impossible to forge. Impossible to bury. Let's go. I say, we got a future to build. As we leave the server room, I glance back at the blinking lights. They're not red anymore. They're green. Steady. Certain. Like me, the elevator descends. The city rises around us. And somewhere in the distance, a siren wails, maybe for Daniel, maybe for Victoria, maybe just for the ghost of Sterling Tech. I don't care. I'm not looking back. I'm looking at the code. And the code is perfect. The next morning, the Wall Street Journal hits a stand with a banner headline. The Ghost in the Machine, how Ethan Cole built and destroyed Sterling Tech. I'm at a diner in Hoboken, reading it over pancakes. No photos of me, just a sketch based on a security camera still. They call me reclusive. Brilliant. The architect behind the curtain. Victoria gives a statement through her lawyer. Mr. Cole's actions were a disproportionate response to personal grievances. Sterling Tech intends to pursue all legal remedies. Legal remedies. Goo, she still thinks this is about lawsuits, about settlements. She doesn't get it. It was never about the law. It was about the truth. And the truth is written in the patents she ignored. My burner phone rings. Julian, the Wall Street Journal piece is causing a stir. He says, every headhunter in Silicon Valley is looking for you. We should move up the announcement. No, I say, let them search. Let them speculate. When we launch Prometheus, it won't be with a press conference. It'll be with a product, something they can't ignore, something they can't steal. You're playing a long game. I'm playing the only game. I say, the one where the inventor doesn't have to beg for scraps at his own table. He laughs. Fair enough. I'll have the legal team draft the licensing agreements. Full autonomy. No board oversight. You'll report directly to me. I'll report to the code. I say, you just sign the checks. Deal. I hang up. The diner's TV switches to CNBC. They're dissecting Sterling's collapse. Analysts are baffled. A mystery meltdown. They call it an unprecedented IP failure. They don't know the half of it. They don't know about the termination clause, the biometric locks, the recursive purge. They think it's a glitch, a hack, a market anomaly. They don't realize it was a choice. My choice. I finish my coffee, leave a 20 on the table, and walk out into the sunlight. It's a crisp, clear day, the kind of day that feels like a fresh start. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number, probably another reporter, or a lawyer, or Victoria, drunk dialing from whatever luxury prison she's hiding in. I don't check it. I don't need to. The only message that matters is the one I'm writing in the code, line by line, bit by bit, a message that says, I am the owner, I am the architect, and I am done being invisible. I walk to the car. Marcus is behind the wheel. Where to? Boss? The lab? I say, we've got a world to rewrite. He pulls into traffic. I roll down the window. The wind hits my face. Cold and clean. Behind us, the city shrinks. Ahead, the horizon stretches. Empty, waiting. Mine. The audit is over. The build has begun. The garage isn't in Silicon Valley. It's in a repurposed cold storage unit in Secaucus. No windows, just reinforced concrete and the low hum of 400 kilowatts of computing power. I'm leaning over a thermal chassis when Marcus tosses a satellite phone onto the workbench. Julian's on line 1. Again, Marcus says, and a Ms. Pritchard from Anduril is burning up the secure line. They want to sit down. Today, I don't look up from the laser alignment. Tell Pritchard I don't do sit-downs. Ido specs. If she wants to talk, she can read the white paper I dropped at 3 a.m. Page 12 is a kicker. Marcus relays a verbatim. He's good like that. No inflection. Just a message. After a beat, he covers the receiver. She said page 12 references a quantum tunneling protocol that isn't supposed to exist outside of a DARPA black site. Tell her that's why it's called a kicker, I say. Then ask her if she wants to keep guessing, or if she wants to see the lattice in action. He relays that too. This time, the silence on the other end lasts longer. Finally, Marcus nods. She's patching through her CTO. They're scrambling a jet out of D.C. I finally look up. Too slow. We'll be in phase 2 by the time they land. Tell her to bring a brain and a blank check. Leave the lawyers in D.C. I pick up the other line. Julian Vance doesn't bother with pleasantries. Ethan, you're lighting the world on fire, Julian says. His voice is smooth, but there's an edge of urgency. The Wall Street Journal piece has every VC in California camping in my lobby. $3 billion was yesterday's offer. I'm prepared to go to 5. Up front, no earn-out, and I'll spin up a private foundation, your name on the building. Endowment. The works. 5 billion is a rounding error. Julian, I say, and I don't need a building. I need a clean room and a fiber backbone that doesn't bottleneck at the router. Your current infrastructure is a joke. I'd spend the first year just patching holes. The 5 billion includes a full infrastructure overhaul, he counters. Name the contractor. We'll build it to your specs. I don't want to build it on your land. I say, I want to build it on neutral ground. I'm not merging with Vance Dynamics. I'm licensing Prometheus to you, exclusively for the defense sector, and only if you agree to Clause 7. Clause 7, the poison pill, the one that states if Vance or any entity I license to engages in non-consensual data harvesting or algorithmic manipulation of public markets, the license reverts to me instantly, and they pay a termination penalty equal to 300% of their annual AI-derived revenue. Julian is quiet for a long moment. You're killing my margins. Ethan, you're missing the point. Julian, I'm not selling you a product. I'm selling you a conscience. Because without it, Prometheus becomes Skynet with a better UI. And I'm not responsible for that. Conscience doesn't pay dividends, he mutters. Neither does a federal indictment. I shoot back. Ask Victoria about that. Oh, wait, you can't. She's busy lawyering up. Before he can respond, Marcus taps my shoulder. He's holding up a tablet. On the screen, a news crawler is moving fast. Breaking. Sterling Tech files for Chapter 7. FBI raids corporate offices. Daniel Vassar, former COO, taken into custody on fraud charges. I watched the ticker for a second. No satisfaction. Just confirmation. The dominoes are falling exactly where I placed them. Julian, I say, turning my attention back to the call. The offer stands until 5 p.m. today. 5 billion. Clause 7 included. After that, I open the bidding to Palantir and the Saudis. And trust me, the Saudis don't care about your SEC regulations. I hang up before he can argue. Marcus is already fielding the next call. It's a block number. Could be the DOJ or Victoria's new cell. I shake my head. If it's the DOJ, tell them I'll testify on Thursday. If it's Victoria, tell her the mug is in a landfill in the Bronx, and the patents are in a vault she can't touch. He relays it. Then, after a pause, he looks at me. It's neither. It's a doctor, Eris Thorne from MIT. He says he's heading the NSF's investigation into the Sterling collapse. He wants to verify the integrity of the Synapse shutdown. Thorne, I repeat, I know the name. Brilliant theoretician. Zero practical application. Put him on. The voice that comes on the line is crisp. Academic. Mr. Cole, I've reviewed the technical logs you submitted to the SEC, the recursive purge you initiated. It's theoretically impossible under the Synapse architecture as documented in your original 2019 filing. That's because the 2019 filing was a decoy, I say. The real architecture uses a nonlinear feedback loop tied to a biometric hash. I patented the decoy to satisfy Victoria's paranoia. I kept the real one for moments like this. Biometric hash? Thorne sounds skeptical. You mean the purge was keyed to your own biology? That's ethically ambiguous. Mr. Cole, it's self-defense. Doctor, I reply, when you build a house, you keep the deed. When you build a nuclear reactor, you keep the kill switch. Victoria forgot she didn't own the reactor. She just paid the electric bill. I'd like to see the real architecture. Thorne says, for academic review, to ensure such a potent tool is misused. Come to Secaucus, I say. Sign an NDA that would make a CIA spook blush. And bring a mathematician. You'll need one to understand the tensor calculus. But understand this. Doctor, this isn't for academia. This is for the world. And the world doesn't run on peer-reviewed papers. It runs on code that works. I give him the address. He hesitates. This is highly irregular. Mr. Cole, so is giving a $2 million bonus to a felon. I say, see you at 2 o'clock. Doctor, don't be late. I hang up. Marcus is already pulling up Thorne's faculty page. MIT's gonna freak when they find out you're sharing the core tech. He says, they're not getting the tech I clarify they're getting a demo, enough to make them realize that Prometheus isn't just an upgrade, it's a paradigm shift. And once they realize that, the bidding war isn't about money anymore. It's about survival. My personal phone, the one only 3 people have a number to, buzzes. It's a text from an unknown, encrypted relay. He's flipping on her. Daniel, the feds have him. He's saying she ordered the Zurich cover-up. I heard it in the holding cell. Thought you should know. Melissa, the assistant, still useful. I delete the text. Not because it matters. Daniel's confession is just icing on the cake, but because it confirms Victoria's world is shrinking to the size of a courtroom. Marcus, I say, draft a press release. Short, simple. Ethan Cole confirms technical integrity of Prometheus architecture, denies all acquisition rumors pending independent verification. Verification by who? By whoever can pass the entrance exam. I say, starting with Thorne. If he can't handle page 12, he doesn't get past the lobby. At 2:15 p.m., Dr. Eris Thorne arrives. He's wearing a tweed jacket in a room that's 50 degrees below ambient. He looks like a penguin who wandered into a server farm. I meet him at the airlock. Mr. Cole, he says, shaking my hand. His grip is soft, academic. I must say, your security is formidable. It's not security, I say. It's physics. The walls are Faraday caged. The servers are air-gapped. And the coffee is terrible. Welcome to the future. Doctor, I lead him to the central terminal. Marcus is already running the diagnostic. I pull up the Prometheus core. Page 12, I say, pointing to the screen. The quantum tunneling protocol. It doesn't just process data. It predicts the entropy state of the processor itself. It's not just faster. It's aware of its own limitations before they occur. Thorne leans in, his eyes widening behind his wire-rimmed glasses. This is Von Neumann architecture, turned inside out. You're using the heat dissipation as a computational variable? In layman's terms, I say. But yes, every other chip fights thermodynamics. Prometheus uses it. That's why Synapse failed. Victoria wanted a sleek interface. I built a thermodynamic engine. She put it in a sports car. I designed it for a rocket. Thorne stammers for a minute, then pulls out a notepad. Actual paper. The implications for climate modeling alone are staggering. Mr. Cole, this technology could solve. It could also solve your tenure problem. I cut in, or it could end up in a drone that decides who lives and dies. That's why Clause 7 exists. That's why I'm not selling to the highest bidder. I'm licensing to the most responsible one. Responsibility is subjective, Thorne argues. Integrity isn't, I say. And right now, the only entity with demonstrable integrity in this room is the algorithm. Everyone else, including you, doctor, has a price. The question is whether you're willing to pay mine. He looks at the screen, then at me. For the first time, the academic skepticism fades. What's left is pure, unadulterated awe. I need to report this to the NSF. He whispers. This changes everything. Report it, I say. But remember the NDA. If this leaks before I'm ready, the only thing that changes is your career trajectory. Downward. He nods, swallowing hard. As he leaves, Marcus looks at me. You just scared the shit out of an MIT professor. That's a new one. I didn't scare him, I say. I educated him. There's a difference. My phone buzzes. Julian Vance. $5 billion. He says, Clause 7 included. But I want exclusivity in North America. Defense and commercial. Granted, I say, but I keep the global rights for non-military applications. And I want a seat at the table for any ethics board you form. Final offer. Take it or I call Palantir. Done, he says without hesitation. Legal will draft the papers. When can we announce? When I'm ready, I say. And not a minute before. Send the first installment to the Cayman account. I'll transfer the initial Prometheus build tonight. I hang up. Marcus is already smiling. Vance is in. Thorne is rattled. Victoria is finished. What's next? I look at the server rack. The green lights are steady. Prometheus is awake. Next, I say, we show them what irreplaceable really looks like. Get me Palantir's number. I want to see if they can match the offer. And call the Saudis. Tell them the tour is canceled. The bidding war is over. But the winner pays the same price. Marcus adds. Exactly, I say. Now, get me a coffee. Black. And none of that artisan crap. Just caffeine and heat. He heads to the break room. I turn back to the terminal. On the screen, the Prometheus code scrolls endlessly. Beautiful, complex, untouchable. My phone buzzes one last time. A news alert. Victoria Sterling indicted on 12 counts of securities fraud. Faces 40 years in federal prison. I delete it. Then I open a new document. The title, The Ethics of Ownership. Why the inventor must never be a pawn. I start typing. The words flow as easily as the code, because for the first time, I'm not writing for a boss. I'm writing for history. And history, I've decided, has a very short memory for people who forget who holds a pen. 6 months to the day. The Vance Dynamics campus in Palo Alto doesn't look like a campus. It looks like a fortress of matte black glass and silent, humming power. I'm in the Prometheus lab, no windows. 3-factor biometric locks. A room where the air itself feels charged. I'm not wearing a suit, just a black tee and jeans. The uniform of someone who doesn't need to impress anyone. Marcus is at the secondary console, monitoring the global latency metrics. We're live in 11 time zones. He says, not looking up. 0 packet loss. The quantum lattice is holding at 0.004 Kelvin. It's boring. Boss. Too stable. Stability is the point, I reply, watching the data streams. Victoria wanted flash. I build a foundation. Foundations don't glitch. My secure line lights up. Julian Vance. He doesn't call unless the board is breathing down his neck. Ethan, he says, his tone all false casualness. The Q3 numbers are in. Prometheus is accounting for 60% of our market cap growth. The board wants to know when we can start monetizing the peripheral APIs. They're pushing for a tiered subscription model. I lean back, cracking my neck. Tell the board to read the license agreement. Section 4, subsection C. The peripheral frameworks are open source. We don't monetize them. We license the core. The core is the value. Giving away the APIs isn't charity. It's a moat. It makes Prometheus the industry standard. If they try to charge for the APIs, they're not just violating our agreement. They're killing the ecosystem before it's born. A pause. Then Julian sighs. They're greedy. Ethan, they see a golden goose and want to sell the feathers. Then remind them who owns a goose, I say. And if they keep pushing, remind them I can rebuild the core on a different lattice in 6 weeks. See how their stock price likes that. I'll handle it, Julian says, a note of respect or caution in his voice. One more thing. Congress is calling. The House Subcommittee on Technology and Innovation wants you for a hearing. They're calling it the future of AI oversight. I don't do dog and pony shows. I say, this isn't a request. It's a subpoena. They want to talk about Sterling, about the kill switch, about the ethics of one person having that much power. I mute the line for a second, thinking. A subpoena is leverage. It's a podium. It's a chance to redefine the narrative from disgruntled husband to architect of the future. Fine, I say, unmuting. I'll testify, but under 2 conditions. 1, I speak under oath. But my testimony regarding the Prometheus core architecture remains proprietary and classified. 2, I get to release my opening statement to the press simultaneously. If they want a spectacle, I'll give them one. But it'll be on my terms. Julian lets out a low whistle. You're going to hijack a congressional hearing. I'm going to educate one. I correct. Send me the docket. I'll draft the statement. I hang up. Marcus is already pulling up the congressional directory. You realize they're going to try to crucify you, right? Unilateral control over critical infrastructure, national security risk, the whole 9 yards. Let them, I say. They can't regulate what they don't understand. And they don't understand Prometheus. They barely understood Synapse. I'll give them the vocabulary. And then I'll use it to dismantle their arguments. My personal line buzzes. A text from a blocked number. I almost ignore it, but the prefix is ADC. Exchange. I open it. Amy Chin here. Washington Post. I've seen the Prometheus white papers. The parts you haven't classified. It's revolutionary. But I'm also looking at the unsealed indictments from the Southern District of New York, the ones against Victoria Sterling. Page 42, paragraph 8. It mentions a digital kill switch tied to a primary stakeholder's biometric data. That's you, Ethan. Sources say you could have triggered that purge months earlier. Why wait? Was it revenge? Or was it about the IP all along? I stare at the screen. Amy Chun, Pulitzer finalist. Relentless. She's not asking for a quote. She's laying a trap. I type back a single line. Revenge is an emotion. Ownership is a fact. Ask Victoria which one paid her legal fees. I hit send. Then I block the number. No more distractions. Over the next 3 days, I draft the statement. It's not long. 900 words. No jargon. No apologies. Just a fundamental reframing of value. I send it to Julian an hour before the hearing. The hearing room is packed. I can see it on the monitor in the lab. C-SPAN cameras. Reporters stacked like cordwood. The congressman leading the inquiry, a silver-haired blowhard from Ohio, starts with the usual grandstanding. Mr. Cole, we are here today to examine the alarming concentration of power in the hands of a single individual, specifically regarding the Prometheus AI architecture developed under your direction. The potential for misuse, for a single point of failure, is a clear and present danger to the national interest. He drones on. I wait when it's my turn. I don't raise my voice. I don't get defensive. I just read the statement, the one that's already hitting every newswire in the country. Value isn't determined by the size of a bonus or the height of a corner office. It's determined by the irreplaceability of one's contribution. For years, I allowed my work to be commoditized by those who mistook access to capital for ingenuity. I wasn't silent because I was weak. I was silent because I was building something they couldn't touch. When they crossed the line from exploitation to theft, I reminded them who held the pen. Prometheus isn't a product. It's a principle. And the principle is simple. The creator retains the ultimate leverage, not as a weapon, but as a safeguard if you seek to regulate the future. Understand this. You cannot legislate brilliance, and you cannot nationalize a patent. You can only partner with it, or be rendered obsolete by it. The room goes silent. The congressman sputters. Mr. Cole, are you threatening this committee? I'm educating it, I say, looking directly into the camera. The kill switch you're so afraid of isn't a threat. It's a lock. And the key isn't in my biometrics. It's in the logic of the system itself. A system designed to protect itself from the very kind of greed and negligence that destroyed Sterling Tech. If you want to talk about national security, let's talk about a company that nearly collapsed because its CEO valued a $2 million bonus for her ex-husband over a multi-billion-dollar patent portfolio. That, congressman, is the real threat. I log off. The feed cuts. Marcus is staring at the monitor, a slow grin spreading across his face. You just told the United States Congress to go fuck themselves. Politely, I told them the truth. I say, they can dress it up however they want. The fallout is instantaneous. Hashtag irreplaceable Ethan trends worldwide. The clip of my testimony gets 10 million views in an hour. The Washington Post runs my full statement on the front page. The New York Times calls it a watershed moment in the relationship between capital and creation. And then the letter arrives. Not an email, a physical letter. Delivered by courier to the Vance reception desk. Forwarded to the lab. The envelope is expensive, the kind Victoria used for wedding invitations. The handwriting is shaky, but unmistakable. Ethan, I watched your testimony. I saw the faces of the people you were addressing, the power brokers, the titans of industry, the lawmakers, and I realized, for the first time, that I was never one of them. I was just a woman playing dress-up in a corner office, borrowing your light and calling it my own. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost a mind that made me matter. The mug is in a box in my mother's attic. I hope your new world is everything mine wasn't. I hope you never need a supportive spouse, award again, because you never needed one to begin with. Vay, I read it once. The anger is gone. The vindication is hollow. All that's left is a profound sense of clarity. She finally sees it. The tragedy isn't that I left. The tragedy is that she spent years looking in the mirror and seeing a leader, when all she ever was a reflection of my work. I feed the letter into the industrial shredder beside the terminal. The whirring sound fills the silence. When it's done, I turn back to the monitor. The Prometheus lattice is glowing, stable, eternal. Marcus, I say, draft a new internal memo, effective immediately. Every engineer in this division gets a percentage point of the core licensing revenue, personally allocated by me. No board approval needed. And add a line to the onboarding packet. Your value is not defined by your title. It's defined by the code you write and the problems you solve. Act accordingly. He nods, already typing. You're changing the culture. I'm correcting it. I say, Victoria rewarded loyalty. I reward contribution. There's a difference. My phone buzzes. Julian, the board is stunned. The stock is up 12% since your testimony. They withdrawn the API monetization proposal. And, Ethan, they want to name the new RD wing after you. Turn it down, I say instantly. No wings, no buildings, no statues. Just keep the servers cool and the checks clearing. That's all the recognition I need. Understood, Julian says, a note of amusement in his voice. Though I have to ask, does it feel good, being proven right? I look at the shredded remains of Victoria's letter, then at the endless, perfect lines of code on the screen. It doesn't feel like anything, I say. It just feels done. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a quantum lattice to optimize. Unlike Congress, it doesn't waste time on grandstanding. I hang up. The lab is quiet again, just the hum of the machines and the soft click of my keyboard. The past is a shredded letter. The future is a line of code that compiles on the first try. I lean back, close my eyes for a second, and let the silence settle. It's not the silence of an empty penthouse. It's the silence of a man who finally owns a room. 5 years. That's how long it's been since the subpoena, since the testimony, since the shredder ate Victoria's letter. The Global Tech Symposium in San Francisco is a circus. I'm not on the main stage. That's for the CEOs who still think a keynote is a personality cult. I'm in a smaller room, wood-paneled, packed with people who actually understand the math. The round table is called the Ethics of Autonomous Creation. Half the room is tenured faculty from MIT and Stanford. The other half is from Palantir, Lockheed, and a few sovereign wealth funds I've learned to tolerate. I'm mid-sentence, breaking down the entropy differentials in the Prometheus lattice, when a kid in the third row, 24, wearing a hoodie that costs more than his tuition, raises a hand. Mr. Cole, he says, his voice a little too loud, a little too eager. Your story is basically legend now, the patent leverage. It's in every business school case study. But looking back, do you regret it? The way it ended for Sterling? For Victoria Sterling? I mean, she's a footnote now. A cautionaritade. Was it worth it? Destroying her like that? The room goes quiet. They always ask that. Like vengeance is a flavor you can sample. Like I'm supposed to feel guilty for owning my work. I lean into the mic. Let the silence stretch for a beat. Make them lean in. Regret. I say, my voice flat. No inflection. Regret is a luxury for people who have time to dwell on the past. I don't. Victoria Sterling made her choices. She valued performance reviews over substance, loyalty over competence, and nostalgia over reality. My actions weren't about ending her career. They were about starting my own. The leverage was just a mechanism that allowed me to separate my identity from hers. If she's a footnote, it's because she wrote her own obituary in $2 million increments. I just printed it. A ripple of approval, not applause, understanding. The kid nods. scribbling notes like he just found religion. Another hand goes up. A woman this time. Sharp suit, Wall Street Journal badge. Some call you the ghost CEO. You own the patents. You steer the technology. But you stay out of the spotlight. Why? Is it a philosophical choice? A safety play? The spotlight belongs to the product, not the person. I reply, when I was at Sterling, I was a shadow. My name wasn't on the door, but my fingerprints were on every circuit. That taught me that true power is invisible. It's the code that executes when a user clicks start. It's the patent that holds when the lawyers come knocking. It's the knowledge that you are the only one who can do what you do. Visibility is a vulnerability. I don't do vulnerabilities. I pause. Let that sink in. The room is dead silent, except for the clicking of laptops. Victoria gave her ex a bonus because she thought money was the ultimate measure of value. She gave me a mug because she thought sentimentality was a substitute for equity. She was wrong on both counts. The mug is in a landfill in the Bronx. The patents? They're the foundation of half the Fortune 500's AI infrastructure. Which one proved more valuable? The answer isn't in a quarterly report. It's in the fact that you're all here, asking me questions. Instead of asking her, the session ends. No grand exit. I just stand, gather my notes, actual paper, because some habits stick, and head for the side door. That's when I see him. Daniel. He's older, softer. The expensive suits are gone, replaced by a cheap polyester blazer that doesn't fit his gut. He's manning a booth in the startup alley. The sign reads, Vassar Consulting, Legacy Systems Integration. The screen behind him is frozen on a Windows error message. He sees me. For a second, the old smirk flickers, the one that says I still know her. Buddy. Then it dies, replaced by something I haven't seen in years. Irrelevance. He takes a step forward, opens his mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to explain, maybe just to hear his own voice. I don't stop, don't slow down, don't even blink. I walk past him. My shoulder brushing is just hard enough to knock him off balance. He stumbles, catches himself on the edge of a shitty folding table. His laptop crashes to the floor. I don't look back. There's nothing to say to a ghost. He doesn't exist in my world anymore. He's a deprecated function, an unused variable. Outside, the San Francisco sun is harsh. Julian Vance is waiting by the car, a nondescript Tesla. Not a limo. He's got a tablet in his hand. But he's not looking at it. He's looking at me. Heard the panel. Julian says, deprecated function. That's going to be quoted for a while. Good. I say, sliding into the passenger seat. Let it be. Keeps the parasites away. Julian pulls into traffic. The new lattice is stable. Prometheus 4. Zero is deploying across the grid tonight. Zero downtime. The board wants to know if you'll finally let them name the new data center after you. They're offering a 9-figure endowment to Caltech in your name. Turn it down. I say, watching the city blur past. No buildings. No endowments. Just keep the servers cool and the dividend checks flowing to the engineering teams. And tell the board if they ask again. I'll spin up a competing lattice in international waters. See how their stock likes that. He chuckles. 5 years ago, I thought you were crazy. Walking away from Sterling. Go to war over a coffee mug. Now, you've got the lowest employee turnover in the industry. Highest productivity. And the only guy in the room who doesn't need a title to get things done. Titles are for people who need permission to lead. I say, I don't need permission. I have the code. My phone buzzes. A notification from the USPTO. A new patent granted. Decentralized autonomous neural networks with self-healing entanglement protocols. Owner, Ethan Cole. Assignee, none. Held in perpetuity. I smile. Not a big one. Just a slight curl at the corner of my mouth. The game isn't over. It's just entered a new phase. One where the rules are written in real time. By me. Where to? Julian asks. The lab. I say, we've got a new problem. The lattice is predicting its own obsolescence in 18 months. We need to rewrite the core before it tells us how. 18 months? That's ambitious. It's not ambition. I say it's maintenance. The moment you stop building, you start decaying. Victoria forgot that. Daniel never knew it. I won't make the same mistake. We drive across the bridge. The city's shrinking in the rear view. The sky is vast. Empty. Mine. I pull out a worn metal flask. Not the Macallan. Just black coffee and take a sip. It's bitter. Perfect. No mugs required. The car stops at a nondescript industrial park in Sunnyvale. No sign. Just a reinforced door and a retinal scanner. Marcus is waiting inside, surrounded by the hum of the new servers. "Boss," he says, nodding at the screen. "The 4.0 deployment is at 98%. We've got a clean handoff. And I got a letter from the Federal Correctional Institution in Danbury." He hands me an envelope. It's thin. The handwriting is shaky, but practiced. Victoria's. I don't open it. I just look at it. She's up for parole next month. Marcus says, third time applying. Word is, she's citing good behavior and remorse. I set the envelope on the workbench, next to a soldering iron. Remorse is easy when you're out of options. Want me to shred it? No. I say, leave it. Let it sit there. A reminder. I turn back to the terminal. The Prometheus 4. Zero lattice is glowing. A complex web of light and logic. It's beautiful. It's mine. And it's already evolving beyond what I'd initially designed. Marcus, start the recalibration on the entanglement protocols. I want the self-healing algorithms running at full capacity by midnight. And give me a direct line to the NSF. I want to review their latest grant proposals. If they're still funding explainable AI like it's 2015, we're pulling our research partnerships. Done, he says, already typing. I sit down, crack my knuckles, and dive into the code. The world outside, the symposium, the reporters, the ghost of Sterling Tech, fades away. There's only the logic, the structure, the truth written in ones and zeros. I am the architect, not because I built the first wall, but because I'm still here, laying the foundation for the next one. The coffee is bitter, the code is clean, and the future? The future is just another problem waiting to be solved. I glance once at the unopened letter on the bench, then I turn back to the screen, the cursor blinking, waiting for the next command. I type a single line. The bill continues, and hit enter.